you have taste in a way that's meaningful to software people.
Hello, I'm Bill Gates.
I would recommend TypeScript. Yeah, it writes a lot of code for me, and usually it's slightly wrong.
I'm reminded, incidentally, of Rust here.
Rust.
Congressman, iPhone is made by a different company, and so,
You will not learn Rust while skydiving.
Well, I'm sorry, guys. I don't know what's going on.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak to you today about large neural networks. It's really an honor to be here.
Rust.
Data topics.
Welcome to the data.
Welcome to the Datatopics podcast.
Hello and welcome to Datatopics Unplugged, your casual corner of the web where we discuss what's new in data every week, from Airbnb to fake tech, people watching you, anything goes. We're on YouTube. This episode is unfortunately not live stream, but we'll make sure, if everything goes well, you should be seeing this on YouTube later on. But we're not on the other platforms like LinkedIn and whatnot. But feel free to check us out there. And feel free to leave a comment on the video as well. We'll try to reply to you. Today is the 9th of April of 2024. My name is Murilo. I'm your host for today. I am not joined by Bart. We should have a button that says, aww. Yeah. We are joined by Lucas. Hey, Lucas.
Hello.
How are you?
Good.
We'll get back to you in a second. And behind the camera, the one and only sound engineer, Alex.
Hello.
All right. Lucas, maybe you want to introduce yourself real quick for the people. You have been on the show before.
Yes.
You are a friend of the pod. Yeah, see? You see how they like? See? You want to introduce yourself to people that missed the first episode, to people that don't know who you are yet?
Yeah, I think it was a month and a half ago.
Oh,
that
really?
I was
Already?
here. Yeah, time flies.
Time really flies.
Yes. So I'm Lucas. Hi. And I'm an ML engineer here at Dataroots. And now a second time podcast guest.
Yes. Very Python savvy developer.
Yes.
Yes, that's just cool. Alex, actually, were you here last time when Lucas was a guest or not
No.
yet?
No, I don't think so.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
it was much more shabby before.
Yeah, we had the Alex fan. Oh, it looks professional.
Yeah,
I don't feel like you don't feel weird. Like you want me to be there? You sure? Yeah. Cool. And what's new with you? Any life updates since last time? Anything?
Yeah, actually, when you said that, what'd you do last week or something?
Yeah.
So last week I was back in Lithuania.
Nice.
So it's like I flew up a couple of hours north and spent there a couple of weeks. So it was nice getting back with family and all that.
Nice.
Yeah.
And you said it was the weather there was pretty crazy, no?
Yeah, it was 22 degrees. Then suddenly it started snowing. So you can imagine the contrast. In the one evening, you just get out and just, wow, it's like
you're having drinks outside.
Yeah.
Man, I don't feel so good. I don't know what's happening. I think I drank too much.
Yeah.
Cool. Good food, family.
Yeah, food is good. Very greasy, but good. Very.
Actually, I'm not even
filling.
sure what is Lithuanian food. What's traditional? If I had to try one dish from Lithuania, what would you tell me to try?
Damn. These questions are usually very tough. I mean, but if you ask me, I think we have these potato dumplings called zeppelins. They're not fully Lithuanian, but they're kind of
Enough.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's also called borscht. You know borscht, the Ukrainian red beet soup.
Yes.
So the Lithuanian version is the cold one.
Oh.
Yeah, it's pretty neat.
Interesting.
Yeah. So
Interesting.
maybe even that. Yeah.
Maybe I'll try it someday. What about you, Alex? Anything exciting last weekend? I know.
Yeah, I said I didn't have any plans last week, but my parents came to visit me and we went to my sister's football game. Soccer game.
Soccer.
Mhm.
Depending where you're
Yeah.
listening from. Okay, cool. She plays in Belgium. Like, is it like a amateur, professional, semi-professional?
I want to say semi-professional.
Oh,
fancy.
wow. So she's pretty good then.
Mhm.
Oh, wow. Okay. Really, really cool. My weekend? Oh, thanks for asking.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Nobody cares,
It's okay. It's fine. I'm used to it. It's fine. I was in Venice actually for the weekend.
Whoa.
Yeah. Don't want to brag, but whatever. Just enjoy my life, whatever. My life is dope. What can I do? I'm just kidding. But cool. What do we have for this week? Let's see. Amazon. You have something here, Lucas, from Amazon. Amazon just walk out.
Yes.
What is it about?
Yeah, I think we saw it last week. So apparently Amazon has these self-checkout shops that are, you take an item, you just leave it, I guess, the shop, and then they kind of charge you. Which sounds super exciting.
This is not that new, I think. I think when I used to live in the US, and when I lived there, they were announcing it already. I think it used to be called Amazon Go or Go Shopping or something. So it's like you scan on your phone, there's a QR code you scan when you walk in. And then the idea is that you just go in, you pick whatever, you put it in your basket, and then you just walk out, and then they charge on your Amazon account. My brother also works for AWS, and he happened to go to Seattle, which is the headquarters of AWS, after they announced it, and then they actually were encouraging my brother to go to these shops. I think they gave him vouchers and stuff because they were really testing the algorithm. Because, for example, I'm not short, but I'm not the tallest guy either, right? Let's just say it like that. So, for example, if there is something on the very top shelf and I cannot reach it, I can say, "Hey, Lucas, can you grab it for me?" And you grab it and you give it to me. The algorithm should be able to detect that I should be the one carded. Right? Or, for example, if you have parents with kids and then the kids run and pick something up, that could happen. Or what if you return an item to the wrong place, right? There's a lot of edge cases. And they were encouraging my brother to give it a try so they could hash this out. And I think the technology is called Just Walk Out.
So there's no way you can shoplift, right?
Yeah, that is a way. It's unshopliftable, I guess, unless you don't scan the QR code, right? But I think I saw even there was a sketch from Saturday Night Live or something. They were interviewing like marginalized groups, right? And then like, you just take and just walk out. It's like, are you sure? Like, nice try. No, I'll pay for it. It's fine. But yeah, true. I think that's the premise. So what is this about, Lucas?
Yeah, and so in those, I think, so it's been 7 years now. It's based on your story in the US for this technology.
Whoa. How old do you think I am? No, yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah. So given that, you might think, but the technology now covers all the edge cases. And what they discovered was that actually they have real humans kind of making sure that you're charged. So kind of offshore somewhere, I think. And that was kind of weird because the bunch of people in India like really, and the Amazon said that it was like for training data or something. So it's like just to train the algorithms, essentially make them better.
It's been like 7 years as well.
It's
like a bit weird.
Exactly. To me, it sounds weird because 7 years is a long time to get enough data already. It's like, why do you need those? So my thought was like, you always have these edge cases. Essentially, they haven't covered all the edge cases, and they need the guys. And
it also speaks. I think now I'm thinking to myself here as well, like how even in AI, we actually see a lot of the use cases are not the ones that AI makes the decision, quote unquote. But usually it's a supervised process, right? In this case, I think here it's saying that here it says that just walkout sales are revealed by real people in India. So I mean, maybe the algorithm works really well, but they're just reviewing some cases, right? So,
but since they're reviewing, it gives an indication that, like, I mean, if it was like perfect to there is a certain extent at which you can say it's kind of perfect.
Yeah.
If they're still reviewing and the numbers say it's quite a lot of people, so is it really good? Or like, it's like maybe.
Yeah, I think here it's saying 700 of every 1,000 just walkout sales had to be revealed by Amazon's team in India in 2022.
That's a lot.
That's quite a bit. Yeah.
So it's like,
Internally, Amazon wanted just 50 out of every 1,000 sales to get a manual check, which I think is way more feasible. But indeed, 700 out of 1,000. I just did some quick maths here in my head. That's like what, 70%?
Yeah,
pretty much. It's pretty big.
It's just manually supervised process.
Yeah, but I'm also wondering if this is really about accountability. There's also the philosophical side of AI, right? Like you have a self-driving car. It gets into an accident, it hits someone goes to the hospital, or something worse happens. Who's liable for this? I think today, like even Tesla, they like you cannot just let the Tesla drive, right? You still need to have someone behind the wheel, and that person is always accountable. But in a world where it's fully, because in that sense the driver is the supervisor.
Yeah.
But in a world if everything is fully automated, what's the accountability there, right? I even saw there's I'm getting a bit philosophical today, so just stay with me, bear with me. There's also the trolley problem. Have you ever heard of the trolley problem?
Is it the one that you need to choose the rails basically?
Yes.
Still one person or 7 people or something? I don't remember.
Yes. So
Voilà.
yeah, trolley problem is a thought experiment in ethics about a fictional scenario in which an onlooker has the choice to save 5 people in danger of being hit by a trolley or by diverting the trolley to kill just one person. So that's it's a thought experiment, right? But most people, or I don't know if that's really most people, but there's an argument to say that killing one person is better than killing 5 persons, so you should take an action. But then there's also a line of thinking that by engaging, like there's no better, or there's also the personal feelings. You can change a bit the trolley problem to say, okay, instead of being a lever, like there's an image here for the people following the video, if you have to push someone off a bridge, for example, the train hits first before getting to the 5 people change their opinions, etc., etc., which is a very philosophical thing. But if you're talking about self-driving cars and AI, arguably you could program those choices in, right? Like imagine there's a self-driving car in one lane, and for some reason something falls in the lane, right? So the car can swerve left, swerve right, or just hit the object, right? The response time for an algorithm machines are faster than humans, and it's premeditated, right? Like you can think this before and program that in. Now, if you say left, you're gonna hit one person. On the right, you're gonna hit 5 people, or you're just gonna hit the car and put the driver's safety at risk. Which one should you choose, right? So then it becomes a bit of a philosophical problem. And if that happens, then it's the developer's fault. Does the company have a policy on this, right? So I don't have answers, but I have heard different sides of this discussion. What do you think, Lucas?
Yeah, I think it's exactly that. It's like sometimes I think when you said you can probably program these cases, but usually I think not usually, but what can happen is that there's this another edge case in which, like, if you have a pattern recognition machine or something, so it doesn't know really what to do, but then a human could even make a completely wildly different choice or something. I don't know. It's like if you could cover all the edge cases, probably, and then the developer would be kind of liable for the choice made. But if it's something, if there is a third choice or something, then I don't know. Who's then liable, right? It's very philosophical.
Yeah, indeed. But I do think that I'm wondering how much of the Amazon Just Walk Out technology is also about liability.
Yeah. Wrong charges or something. Yeah. It's like,
I think in practice is a combination of things, right? But if you have the perfect algorithm and there's a mistake or there's, some philosophical edge case or something, Not sure. Did they actually mention on the article if this is improving or not really, or?
Not really. They said, there was something about training data. Yeah, indeed.
No.
So it's like they're trying to avoid the topic. Related to this, though, what's the word? I don't know. I could basically, so it's not just Amazon who develops these kind of things. So if I can shamelessly plug in something, so
do it.
There's this Lithuanian company.
Yeah.
I think they are developing these self-checkout shops. It's Pixevia, I think. So they develop these self-checkout shops now in Lithuania and Germany, and they're doing quite well, but they're a bit kind of overshadowed by Amazon and all the big players. I was just saying that maybe there are these tiny players that could spin off something even more robust. So
true.
We're about to see.
True. But I feel like, to me, I don't know. I think it's a cool technology.
Yeah.
It's a cool idea, but I'm wondering if this is how much needed is that,
It saves a bit of I wonder. Yeah, the main idea is that it saves money by eliminating cashiers and all that.
And I guess it saves time from consumers, right? I think that's actually probably the biggest thing, no? Because I'm just wondering, like with the self checkouts and whatnot,
Yeah.
you're still gonna need people in the store,
Yeah.
right? You're not eliminating people.
Yeah,
still
it's like with these. Do you also call these chat self checkout thingies in the supermarkets? Well,
yeah.
not with an AI, but the ones that you do yourself.
Yeah, you scan it yourself.
Yeah, scan yourself. So you also need supervisors for that.
Yeah,
Usually it's a
indeed.
couple of people for
in
3
one.
people for 20 machines or something.
Yeah.
For this one, this should be the same.
So 1 out of 20. What's the percentage of that? Way less than.
Well, 5% or something.
Yeah, way less than what they're paying now.
So
People.
it's much more efficient just to keep these.
True.
Yeah.
True. And speaking of efficiency,
Yes.
have you heard of this programming language called Rust?
Rust?
Rust.
No.
Where is Bart when we need him? Where is Bart when we need him?
What's about
Rust, for the people that are never heard of Rust. I mean, if you listen to the show, you probably heard of Rust already once at least, and twice after when Bart's in the episode, because he repeats it a couple of times. Rust is a programming language that it's super efficient. That's the premise, right? It's very efficient. Traditionally, C++ was the throne. Maybe you heard of C++ if you're listening. But Rust has a different philosophy on code that basically makes it more reliable, like bug-free, quote unquote, with memory safety and all these things. Why are we bringing it up? Not too long ago, but not last week, there was a Rust Nation UK, and someone from Google, which also is the creator of the Go programming language. Actually, well, let's see, who's this person again?
Yeah,
He's the director of engineering at Google Android.
Very controversial.
Yes. And in his talk, among other things, he was comparing productivity of using Rust versus Go and C++. And productivity here is like, as a developer, how fast can you write a new feature? Can you write up an application, right? And the premise here is that Rust, it's faster after you write it, but the process of writing takes much longer, right? And I think I have experience with Python and with a bit with Rust, right? In my experience so far, yeah, I'm more proficient with Python, but there are less things you need to worry about when you're programming Python for sure. But in this talk, the speaker defends that, and I think the speaker's name is this Lars, this guy, Lars Bergstrom, and you see here director of engineering at Android. So he works for Google, but he was still making the claim that Rust teams at Google are more productive as ones using Go, and more than twice as productive as teams using C++. So basically, he did an experiment. So first pointer, he is a director of engineering at Google, but doing some quick research, he's also chair of the Rust Foundation board of directors and previous Servo project member. So take it with a bit of salt.
Involved with Rust, like very personally.
He's definitely involved with Rust. But basically, there's a whole bunch of like benchmarks. So Rust, because it's memory safe and all these things, apparently it requires less maintenance. There's less bugs, so you don't have to worry about it as much and work on it after you've deployed. But apparently in development as well, and I can share this one here. Some timestamps on the talk, right? People feel that they are as productive as in Rust as they are in another language they're previously writing in after, like, I think they said 6 months. Yeah, there's a here. Google found that porting Go to Rust takes about the same size team and about the same time to build it. So there's no loss of productivity. And we do some benefits from it. We see reduced memory usage, decrease of defect rate over time. So basically, there are less bugs over time, and the memory usage is also less. So basically, feels a bit, they're just advertising Rust, right? Yeah. They're just saying switch to Rust now, because the only argument for not using Rust is that it would take you longer to get up to speed, but that's not the case.
I wonder how. So some languages are somewhat like much more loved by developers than others, but it's like not non-objective thing. So it's like people are very passionate about Rust.
Yeah.
In general, because it's a very cool new concept, and I don't think people are as passionate about Go or Even Python sometimes.
Yeah, I think actually, like you mentioned,
I would write fast. I would write Rust faster than, let's say, Go, maybe because it seems like a much more sexy language. I don't know. This kind of weird aspect. Like, it doesn't feel that the working hours are too long if you write Rust or something. Maybe yes, but I don't know.
Yeah, I think there's a lot. It's very, yeah, like how proficient you are with the language,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
There's a lot of stuff to it. I mean, you also mentioned the love programming
Yeah, it's like,
languages.
oh, it's
Yeah.
new cool thing. You know, my job is so boring now.
But you know that Rust, according to Stack Overflow survey, for this, I think 7 years in a row, Rust is the most loved programming language. Which that's why there's always the thing about rewriting Rust and the Rust fanboys and all these
it's
things,
like,
right?
Let's
So
rewrite it. It's like,
yeah,
it sounds to me like.
but actually, there's like Rust has been getting a lot of space. I think Linux also supports Rust now, so it's been getting more and more space in the industry. I do feel like, again, I'm not a Rust developer by any means.
Yeah.
I am curious about Rust, but I do see people posting like, oh yeah, the number of people that are looking for Rust developers is increasing over time.
Yeah,
So it may be,
it's definitely increasing.
yeah. So I think it's in a way it's a safe bet.
Yes.
To bet on Rust.
Yeah, very much so.
And also Rust has some other cool things. So for example, Rust has the FFI, the foreign function interface, meaning that you can have a function written in another language, so the foreign, and bring it to Rust. Rust supports natively C. And that's actually what most programming languages support.
Yeah.
And through C, you can have Python. Actually, the most popular implementation of Python is in C, is the C Python, right? So actually, Rust became a very popular choice for Python packages because of that. I mean, actually, because of that, I'm not sure, but I know that the way that Python and Rust interact is through the C layer.
Makes sense.
Did you know that? Did you have your?
No. It makes kind of sense. It ticks.
Yeah. The reason why I'm also bringing it up is not to show off my knowledge of Rust and Python, but also because I came across this article here as well that talks about PI3. And PI3 is a Python package and a Rust crate, I guess. Yes. That basically helps, like it makes it very easy for people to go from Rust package and expose it in Python.
Like an extension. Yeah.
Like an extension, like a binding, they call it, right?
Yeah.
So, and for if whoever's listening, if they're familiar with TensorFlow, PyTorch, I think even NumPy, I think cryptography is an old one. Like these libraries, they're actually written in C or C++, I want to say. And then there's a thin layer of Python on top, right? So basically, whenever you run computations, it's actually running the C level, which is very optimized. And Rust has been gaining popularity and starting to quote unquote replace some of these things. So, for example, Polars is a framework that is written in Rust. Pydantic is written in Rust. Cryptography actually is in Rust now as well. Hugging Face tokenizers is actually in Rust as well. So there's quite a lot, and I think all of them actually use this PyO3 for binding, for creating the binding. Actually, I used it before. It's actually quite easy, surprisingly easy to do something in Rust and bring it to Python with this. There's a lot of ways I can take this article that I read. So, for example, breaking changes and all these things. But because I know Bart was throwing me under the bus some months or some weeks ago. But basically, what is this article about? It's a bit technical, so everyone take a deep breath with me. Basically, they are changing the API, right? They're changing the way that the code then needs to look like for it to work as expected, basically. And in this article, they're motivating why they're making this change. Well, one of the things that they say is that it is by doing this, it will be faster. The code in Rust will be actually faster and use less memory, right? So they actually show some stuff here and they show the differences on the API. When I say difference on the API, for example, here it says PyList : new, and on the next one you see PyList : new bound. So that's the change in the API. So not a lot, but it may change the. So, still with me, Lucas?
Yeah.
Okay. The reason why they do this is lifetimes, and I'm not going to try not to get too much into it.
Oh, that's okay.
The way that the syntax is referenced in Rust today, this means two things. One, it basically tells Python that you can play with it, and it's not going to break anything memory-wise. You can interact with Python safely.
All right.
Right? That's one thing. So this is to quote here the article, the lifetime Pi, that Rust code can safely interact with the Python interpreter. Okay. But it also means something else. It also means that this is a lifetime that Rust code owns a reference of the Python object in question. And because it means two things, it makes things way less flexible, right? In practice, if anyone's still following me on this one,
Yeah.
by decoupling these two things, and that's why they introduced this bound notation here, right? Because basically you're binding how long this object will live, quote unquote. By decoupling these two things, what you can do now, starting on PI3 0.21, is that you can delete objects from memory at any time, quote unquote. You can basically choose when you want to drop something in memory, which will make things way more memory efficient, which is actually what the previous item was talking about Rust memory efficiency, right? Yeah, I'm not gonna go through all the details. If you're interested in Rust and PI3, I would encourage you to have a look. It also talks about a lot about lifetimes and whatnot. But they do admit that this will make it more complicated for people to learn.
Oh, so it's like you get the performance gain.
Exactly.
Have the performance gain, but which is cool and nice, but then
exactly. So basically, like before, also for full completeness here, they even noticed that there was a package in Python which uses coroutines and whatnot that would make this unsound by this assumption of bundling these two things together. So I think it's interesting. I also like they do mention this is gonna make things more complicated for developers and people that are coming from Python to Rust. This article is also interesting because it really highlights the difference between Rust and Python. How in Python you don't have to worry about a lot of these things, and in Rust you have to. Right? And I think before you had to worry about more things, but now with this change you have to worry about another thing because you're decoupling two meanings. Right? And my question is, basically having a trade-off between giving more user control or something that is easier for you to use. How do you stand on this trade-off?
I think you always, whenever if you develop a package or something, you always eventually have to, I don't know, you eventually have to face this dilemma, like how abstract your API is. So how much control you want to give out versus how easy it is to use. And if you kind of make your interface more and more detail oriented, so you give out control, right? Then it becomes more complex to be kind of digested essentially by users. So I don't know, depends. Like really, I would just you have to do field tests. Really,
what do you mean by field tests?
I mean really test with users what they need, because like sometimes you especially engineers, I think they like to generalize. Like each of us have a vision of like what's the perfect interface, like control versus easiness to use, you know. But then you do a test and you realize that either your audience is like, I don't know, like completely I don't know, like let's say they're all Python devs, but like they're kind of a web people in the sense that they are very high level in the stack. And then you say, but these changes, they completely won't fly. You know?
True.
I don't know. But
I think it depends a lot on your user base indeed, right? I'm also wondering if how we play, for example, you can choose to have more control. That comes with the overhead of understanding how everything works. I think in this case they mentioned they thought it was okay trade-off, because if you're learning Rust, at some point you're gonna have to learn about the memory management in Rust.
You have to either way,
right? But I also feel like some things, it's some packages, they only become popular because of how easy it is to use, or because not necessarily how easy it is to use, but I'm also like the lack of customization.
There's like this opinionated interface that's
exactly. right? I mean, and I think I'm not sure if this really fits here, but I like Rust. Even they say that it is more opinionated. They force you to do quote unquote force you to do things a certain way.
Yeah.
Actually, even in Python, the Zen of Python, they say that there's one way of doing things and only one way,
Yeah, that's
right? Like the linter black, right?
yeah.
It became very popular because you cannot customize it at all,
Yeah.
right? So yeah, I mean, personally, I like this change. I think if you're going for Rust, it's probably because you really want to squeeze every bit of performance.
Yeah, I think you're either way going
Yeah.
venturing into compiled languages territory. You
Yeah.
just take your time, absorb the concepts, and kind of I don't know, just that's gonna be your new reality. Don't take shortcuts.
Yeah.
Like if you're going venturing that road.
Yeah, indeed.
I don't know.
But yeah, I see what you say. I agree. I agree. I think I like this change. I'm excited to try this.
I'm gonna try it.
Try this out.
Try this out this evening, maybe.
Right now.
Yeah.
But to be seen, and I also think it's a relatively small change. Like it's not like they're changing completely the API and you have to learn something completely new that is way more complex, right? So I think I'm still okay with this. But yeah, the trade-offs of package maintainers.
Yeah.
And still on Rust.
Rust.
And technical debt.
Yeah.
You share an article as well here.
Yes.
On tech debt, my Rust library is now a CDO.
It's a very weird article that we shared in our tech channels.
Yeah.
That kind of made me think. And I'm not even sure the author kind of thought over the entire idea that he tried to communicate fully. He just kind of wrote it down.
Yeah.
It's just probably woke up one morning and just wrote down like whatever was in his head. But
maybe about the author real quick. It's Armin Warnacher, right? Which
he's fancy.
He's popular. We actually talked about him a few times before. Let's do this. He's also the writer of Jinja.
It's a lot of packages.
A lot of packages. Flask. And does he have it here?
Flask, yeah.
Rye. Oh, he doesn't have Rye.
Rye? It's probably not, it's just a baby.
Maybe it's not up. Yeah, maybe it's too early. But we have talked about Rye quite some time.
Yeah.
So we were talking about him as well.
Yeah. So he's a fancy guy.
He is a fancy guy. He's a well-known guy. And he's also, as a good Python developer, he's into Rust.
Yeah. Like most Python developers nowadays.
Yeah. But what is this article about?
Yeah, so he had this issue basically that there was this a lib that he used to use in his project that I think it was YAML parsing lib or something, and the maintainer just kind of the maintainer just stopped maintaining it.
Yes.
Which is
the way of open source sometimes, right?
Yeah.
Like
he just maybe, I don't know.
They got tired, they got burned out, they didn't want to do this anymore.
Yes.
But basically, so the setup is I'm writing something and I'm like, oh, I need a YAML parser.
Yeah.
Lucas created a YAML parser, so I don't need to do it myself.
Yeah,
so I'm just gonna take Lucas. But Lucas, for some reason, is not working on this anymore. And I still need it. So I still need updates.
Yeah.
So whenever there's a new version of Rust or Python, whatever, I need a new version of the parser, but it's not maintained.
Yeah.
Right. So what happens next?
Yeah. So what he noticed was like some of these packages, then they get showcased in the community and they get a so-called rating. You compared it to debts basically. So debts not, debt is not equal to another debt. They have their ratings based on agencies, whatever. So it's like based on how likely it is to be returned, whatever. So he compared the open source packages to debts, and he said that package, when he was exposed to, was it Rust sec database? I think it's a package database or something. I'm not a guru, but they gave it a really bad rating in the sense that a lot of tests were failing. There were a lot of feature requests, like, hey, are you going to fix that or that? Like, but the author was like, somewhere off in a tropical island, whatever. Nobody cares. Like, he's not maintainer anymore, formally,
Yeah.
So what he said is like, the package is now junk, essentially, and I have to do something about it because it's not going to be maintained. So what he did was he managed to make the debt again kind of a perfect by just copying over the package into his project. Like literally copy pasting the open source package into his project, like created a subfolder,
Yeah.
vendor, like
Yeah.
old school techniques, like if somebody had built that package for you some time ago. And then the package from his perspective is, flawless again.
Yeah.
It's a good rating because he can change it whenever he wants.
Yeah, I think the interesting thing is like he wanted the package to be maintained.
Yes.
But he didn't want to do it himself. Because by maintaining that package, I imagine he would also need to maintain other parts of the package that he's not using.
Yeah.
Right? If there are 5 functions in your package and you're only using one, if he were to take over because it's an open source project, and he could potentially fork it and republish it, then he would need to maintain all 5.
Yeah, because it's not a binding contract. You could become another author that says I quit basically.
Yeah.
But it's like a community especially from the guy like him, they would expect him to maintain. So he just silently copied over whatever he needed, and he's gonna maintain whatever he's kind of
indeed. So he's just using what he needs.
Yeah.
If there's an issue, he can fix that.
It's good again.
Yeah, it's all good.
Perfect package.
Yeah. Have you ever vendored packages at all?
No, it sounds like a very old school thing. Like I think even so before open source, I think at one company that I worked at, they had a bunch of packages built by other companies, which is a very rare thing nowadays.
But like not open source.
No, closed source. So it's like, but yeah, this is the thing they would call a vendor lib, because it's not open source, built by some external company, So it's like, but to me it sounds very old school because the open source movement has been like for 10 years now. Like everything open source.
Yeah. Maybe they have their reasons. I vendored once a package, but it was because it was actually in Rust. So actually there was it was a 1-line change.
Yeah.
And I wasn't sure if that would make a big I raised an issue.
Yeah.
Saying, hey, is there a reason for doing this? But I wanted to make progress on my work.
Yeah.
So actually I vendored that Git pack as a Git project, really. So in Rust, you can really just do this. And I changed that. And it was working fine. But then every time there was a new bug fix or whatever, new feature, then I would have to basically copy it again and make the change again, right?
Yeah.
And then in the end, they actually just, they made the change and they published on a version 2 of that package that I was using. And I before it was merged, because I still didn't want to wait.
Yeah.
I actually added a dependency as a Git dependency. So that was also fine.
Cool.
I also think I didn't make the pull request right away because I was like, man, this is a 1-line change. Like, should I make a pull request for 1 line? I think it's my my insecurities. Like sometimes people are gonna be judging me as like, what's this guy doing?
I think from other people's perspective, if you have a chance to actually contribute to open source via 1-line change, wow, that's a golden ticket. Because
actually, yeah. Maybe I'll share this as well. This is not related to it. It's related to 1-line changes. You'll be happy to hear that I've gone over this social anxiety that I have of 1-line changes. Nice. So this is an open. This is the engine that I use to create slides. And they did a new release, and I noticed that there was an issue for me. So I literally just changed 1 line. I just deleted 1 line and I created a pull request. And it was merged recently, so I'm officially a contributor.
Wow,
nice. Of this. Yeah. Can you have the applause, please, Alex? Yes. Thank you. Stop. It's fine. Anyways, but I also talked to Sam De Bruin about this because he's also a core contributor of DBT, and he's like, yeah, why not? It's 1 line, but now no one else needs to do it.
Yeah.
Right? Like, what's the why wouldn't you do it? Huh? So yeah, I talked to him too, gave him a bit of confidence. I still have a bit of social anxiety.
That's
but it's fine. I'm okay. Okay. Alrighty. What should we talk about next? Let's see. Maybe let's talk about AI because haven't heard about it these days. Cursor. What is Cursor? What is this?
I have no idea, to be honest. I haven't used it. All my friends started using it. It's the AI.
Your friend in Lithuania?
Really? Yeah. One friend was talking about it. So it's AI first code editor.
Sounds very fancy.
Yeah.
So build software faster in an editor designed for pair programming with AI.
Yeah.
Okay, what about it? What does it do?
So that's why it's AI first, because the Copilot already feels like, your sidekick essentially.
Yes.
Which is good. You paste some questions into it and it gives you answers, whatever. But this IDE is like built from the ground up to let AI, do things like, refactor code, access file system, to find something. So it's very, very intrusive, but like it sees everything and can help with anything.
How does it do with privacy?
I have no idea. Probably they don't really care about it.
Probably send it to India again.
It's like I think it's just it's initial steps for them, but I
then
think
it's more like it has probably similar features to VS Code with Copilot,
yeah,
but in a different UI that makes it nicer to use.
yeah, I think so. It doesn't feel like a plugin essentially. I think the file system thing,
Yeah.
Copilot doesn't have it.
Yeah.
It's like, because I think if you wanted to plug that into a plugin, then it's kind of hard. Then this is from so it's worth a shot. I'm gonna try it, but like
I see here, I clicked on features on the website. It says Command K. Command K lets you edit and write code with AI by selecting edit. Okay, so I guess it's just a shortcut.
It's like a tighter integration with your code.
Yeah, but I'm wondering if you could just create let me just read everything before I comment. Copilot++ is a cursor's native autocomplete feature. You can enable it on the bottom status bar. It's a very powerful feature Copilot can use.
That's the same as Copilot.
Yeah, it's the same as Copilot. There's the chat. This is also similar, no?
Yeah, that's similar. Very much
This
so.
is symbols. This is new, no? Add symbols can use it. So apparently there are some things here. My question is, would it be easier to just create a VS Code plugin or extension instead of a new editor?
Yeah, I wonder if they even ask themselves this question, because sometimes people,
but look, I think now we went to for the people listening only, we went to the pricing, and you see here the basic free. It actually has 50 low GPT-4. So I think they have their own. So I don't need to have Copilot myself. I just use theirs Copilot.
Yeah, probably they're hosting it or something. I don't know. Or it's GPT, so it's nice.
They have GPT-4, GPT-4, fast, slow. Okay. Maybe, I mean, there is a basic free, right? So maybe it's worth a try. Maybe we can try it out, Lucas, and the next time when you come back, you can tell us all about it.
Yeah.
And why we should all switch to Cursor.
Or not. Yeah.
Or not. Or not.
But yeah, it's a good question though. Why would you build a new IDE from ground up and not extend VS Code, which is actually a good enough IDE? Like,
yeah,
feels like
I feel like they're winning the battles of IDEs, no?
Yeah.
VS Code is the way to go, I feel.
Yeah, because it's the entire ecosystem is so. But like, I think. Yeah, I'm not sure. I have to try. It has something to do with VS Code. It's a fork of VS Code or something. I'm not sure, but don't quote me on this. So yeah,
but that's okay. But I'm wondering, like, for IDEs, I know PyCharm is very popular for Python as well.
Yeah,
but I still feel like actually JetBrains, they have one IDE per language.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah,
right, but it's and I used to be like this actually. I used to have one for Python, I have one for Python and one for everything else. But I think it's very hard to justify these days.
Yeah, it's
just go with VS Code.
Yeah, because it's gets 80% of work done. Even more probably. Sometimes I feel these like these JetBrains products.
Yeah,
they're kind of clunky. It's like
I think PyCharm is good, but the thing is like I don't want more than one IDE.
Yeah.
And also there's Zed these days, which is like a very fast focused on sharing, like code sharing, kind of like pair programming. But yeah, to be seen. Verdict's still out. And talking about AI and AI assisted code, you had a food for thought here. Like, what if we had mass refactors with Gen AI?
Yeah, it's like technically like before Gen AI, like refactoring refactoring equaled migration. So it's like in the sense that it's not if you have a really big code base, it's not a quarter job. It's probably a year long job at big companies or something. It's something to be planned ahead before, and it's not a easy undertaking usually. But now with the with the ChatGPT and everything, like you can already refactor code, and like could you actually just kickstart? And I wonder if anyone's tried that. Probably they have, but still to see like if you could kickstart I don't know. I remember there was this, you once talked on your podcast about this, whether there is even a sense of having like a SQL, like a standard SQL, basically kind of restricting yourself to use only standard SQL and not like specific dialects, because with the generative models to refactor, it's really easy nowadays. Is there even a point? Because they could do it for you, just kickstart the process. But then again, there are all those edge cases. Like,
so like refactoring, refactoring is Gen AI SQL, but now we can refactor for Gen AI for all code bases, I guess. Let's say Python.
Yeah, I remember like even a year ago, we were doing this Redshift to Databricks migration. We had to literally change SQL queries here and there. And I don't think ChatGPT was then even that big, a year and a bit. I'm not sure, but like I haven't used it.
Because you hadn't back then.
Yeah. So with this, you just shove in the query and like, but then again, the edge cases are there. Like if it doesn't work, what then? Like, maybe you can create a loop. Then you have this Devin thing that can probably do that. But
yeah, true. I feel like today there are a lot of options. For example, if I had to refactor a Python code base today, probably what I would do is to use Gen AI to write a lot of tests. So just write tests and make sure all these tests pass.
Yes.
And then have the Gen AI thing to change the code without changing the test. So it's like a two-step process. First time you don't touch the code, you just write a lot of tests.
So basically you cover everything.
Exactly. But like a lot of test cases. So you really try to, like, if you have a space of inputs or a space of what could happen, you try to fill that out as much as possible. Also put like type hints and all these things, right? With Gen AI maybe, because I guess you can always iterate on these things. And then once you have that input space covered as much as possible, then you change the internals and then you see. So like a two-step thing.
It's like,
but I'm wondering, like, even if you refactor, I guess the question is this gonna be better? And if you have a question how this works, who's gonna answer that?
Yeah, exactly. Like what's the how are you gonna measure the gain of refactor?
Yeah.
If it's
also it's like, I guess first I thought as well was like, what if someone what if the Gen AI refactor something that no one can debug?
Yeah, so basically developer experience degrades, readability degrades.
Yeah, indeed, right. And I guess it could happen today as well.
So like
if I write something,
refactor or something.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it could happen today. Like if I write something and then I leave the company and then someone else needs to maintain this, there could also be the issue, right? But I guess as long as I'm in the company, there's always a backup plan, I guess, or something.
Yeah.
Right.
So you can always call ChatGPT and ask
what
the code does. Huh? So it's
that's true. Huh? Maybe you can use Gen AI to explain what the code does. Indeed.
Cursor. So.
Yeah. True. Yeah. Cursor. But yeah. I don't know.
It just feels that I'm not sure. Maybe we could Google it sometime.
But I guess the thing is, like, if you're refactoring code, you probably want it to look a certain way, no?
Yeah, exactly. So you have a
like you already have like I don't know if Gen AI is good for that.
No, it can explain any ugliness whatsoever.
Yeah, because like if you okay, you have ChatGPT and you say refactor this code, probably not gonna do what you want. You probably say refactor this code in these 5 functions.
Yeah.
And then it's probably gonna do something. Is okay, refine this code in 5 functions, and the first function is to do this. Second, maybe you just want to do it.
Yeah.
Maybe you're just gonna go ahead and just do it and not ask ChatGPT.
Yeah.
Kind of like, yeah, I'm not sure. I'm just thinking out loud here. Just my philosophical
it's like I would use it if the refactoring undertaking is like, I don't know, like depends on the type of refactoring. Yeah, indeed.
Yeah.
Like if you're trying to squeeze out, I don't know, milliseconds, then that's very
like
narrow
performance.
focus. Yeah, performance refactoring.
Okay.
So it's like you cover it with tests, like you said, right?
Yeah.
And then you try to nag ChatGPT to squeeze out the last bits, which it's not always good at that, I noticed. But like you could probably use it.
What if you want to go from Python to Rust?
Yeah, like this. Well, this is basically like a very like transpilation between languages. Like
Yeah,
exactly. So
yeah.
I think for that could be cool, because usually it's a pretty dumb. Like it's not changing the architecture. It's you
The
wouldn't change the
logic,
architecture.
right?
Yeah. Like,
Yeah.
let's say you have Go and then you want to port to Rust because you want to squeeze out even more
Yeah.
milliseconds. So you wouldn't change the architecture that much. It's a
Yeah.
bit of a dumb rewrite, I would say. So
Yeah, unless your code really relies on the Python's dynamic nature,
yeah, maybe that.
then it can be an issue.
Yeah, then it needs to be great. Yeah.
It's an interesting thought experiment.
Yeah.
I mean, even if you have a two-step thing, you have code, you ask ChatGPT, explain what the code does, and the next prompt is okay. Based on your explanation, rewrite it in Rust or something. Maybe it can look completely different, right? But maybe.
Just I think it's yet to see, but these things will pop up for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Or at least like we talked in the beginning, like maybe there's always going to be a human agent on the top, but they're just going to use ChatGPT meticulously to rewrite everything.
Yeah.
Like we do now. So
So basically, the word's is not going to change. It's going to be the same as it was.
Yeah, it's like there's always going to be a human operator and like
saying yes, no, yes, okay.
Yeah,
Sorry.
good.
Yeah, let's see. But it will be an interesting thought experiment. So if you ever give it a try, come back on the pod and we
it's a
can
good
discuss
idea,
that.
actually.
You have 2 homework items already. Just
That's a lot.
All right. I think we have time for a hot take.
Ooh, okay.
Yes.
What
And
you got?
this. What do you got?
Oh,
Airbnb,
Airbnb.
open sources, feature engineering platform. What is it about?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't care. So that's why. So that's why it's a hot take. Like
Okay.
again, I saw it on Twitter.
All right. Thanks, everyone. See you next time.
Yeah, it's like no, I just saw it on Twitter and like I don't know. Should we care? Like I remember. So that's why it's hot take, because like I remember a couple of years ago, like Uber released their ML platform. Like
Yeah.
they have a bunch of companies open sourcing these mega projects.
Yeah.
Like not some really cool util like PyTorch, which is not small nowadays, but it used to be small.
Yeah.
Or like TensorFlow, like something they can plug into anything and it kind of does its job, does very specific thing well.
Yeah.
No, instead they just release these monsters.
Yeah.
What for? Like, is anyone going to use it? I'm yet to see any company that, I don't know.
That's true. Actually, there is a...
Especially for feature stores. This is a feature store engineering thingy. So it's like, again.
Yeah. No, I agree. Yeah? I agree. I'm actually looking here because I see this is not even in Python, right?
No.
Map, string key map. This is like C# or something? Java.
Or C# or Java. Yeah.
Let's see.
Or no?
No, Java.
Java.
Yeah,
Why
yeah,
not? So
C#. No, Java.
Java.
Indeed. Yeah, I think this links a bit to this is actually a hot take from Bart episode. You remember? Datatopics. Bart mentioned open source equals. Oh, it's not even. It's a while ago. Open source equals marketing, and I do feel in this case, it is a bit of marketing.
Yeah,
because I think it's also like they're not creating a tool that does one thing well, and they intend to. I mean, I'm not saying I don't know. I don't know, but like a lot of these times, like you said, with Uber, with this, Netflix also had the MetaFlow, which they use like notebooks in production. I have no idea. And again, there are some notebook lovers as well. So I think this is the one.
Yeah.
Oh no, sorry, not this one. Sorry.
I think you shared the link.
Yeah, I shared the link here. This one. Beyond interactive notebook innovation in Netflix, which they even go as far as deploying notebooks in production. So there are like makes you always think, right? Like always this should we revisit, should we use notebooks in production? I think usually people say no, but like when you see Netflix being successful as with using notebooks in production, then you kind of question it a bit yourself, right? But I haven't met anyone that has been really happy with notebooks in production, for example. I haven't met anyone that's been using the Uber's. What's the name of the Uber framework? Do you remember?
It's a Michelangelo.
Yeah, Uber Michelangelo.
Yeah, it's
Uber,
which is very fancy. Like the name, the tech, everything is fancy.
Indeed.
Like,
I haven't met. I mean, again,
Okay,
there's
maybe it's
also
a bit old school now, but yeah.
yeah. No, but I think it's like I haven't met people using. One thing I have seen people use
Yeah.
is the Kendro, I think, which I think is from
Okay.
Quantum Labs.
Kendra.
Yeah.
Oh, Kendra.
Kedro, sorry.
Oh, Kendra.
Is this one here?
Ah, so it's McKinsey's. Ah.
Yeah, this one I have seen people use.
But that's very cool. McKinsey has a huge exposure of clients.
Yes.
So it's like they already have a good.
Indeed, right? And that's a good point. I feel like like the nature of McKinsey is that they already see different clients.
Yeah,
So if
it's
they
like-
build a framework, it's probably more flexible than something that Netflix built for their use case, or Uber built for their use case,
Exactly.
or Airbnb built for their
Yeah.
use case. And sometimes I wonder if it's like they have a very specific need, or they want to optimize for something very specific,
Yeah.
and that's why they create this framework
Mhm.
internally.
Yeah.
It's not like hard coded, right? You still need to have different use cases, but it's
Yeah.
the same setup, I
Yeah.
guess. And people build stuff in house, and then they say, "Oh yeah, let's open source this so we can," like. And now it's open source, but it's
Yeah.
not really open
Ooh.
source. It's almost like source open. They're just making it transparent what they have,
Yeah.
but they're not building something for the community necessarily.
Yeah. It's not really useful. It's yet to see, but that's with hot takes.
So if anyone's listening from Airbnb,
Yeah.
I want to prove Lucas. What's your LinkedIn? What's your Twitter, Lucas? So they can tweet at you.
They're never gonna hire me. That's my take.
Yeah, I don't know if I disagree. I mean, I think I don't know this. I don't know this this framework, right?
Yeah, me either.
But
It feels too big to plug into, a lot of use cases. Like,
yeah,
I think good open source tools are kind of a small-ish.
yeah, they're
They-
specific.
Very specific. They do.
Yeah,
They can even company like I don't know. I think a lot of good open source tools that are very specific have been open sourced, from the companies, not from research, but from private companies,
yeah,
like deep learning frameworks and all that.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying that, companies cannot do open source. They do it really well. But
Yeah.
when they open source these monsters, I think it's really hard to create a general framework, I think. Like something like Ruby and Rails, right? Like
Yeah.
that thing is just brilliant because it's like half of websites run on it.
Yeah,
it's
yeah, yeah.
still the rest is on WordPress or something. I don't know. It's like if you come from a company, like, well, it's just like probably 5 guys that have been building it inside for 5 years.
Yeah,
Like, what do you know about the outside world?
yeah, that's true. I mean, it's I do see I do see companies like big companies, like even clients that we have, that they tend to build their own solutions, right?
Yeah, just to pick up,
Yeah, and a lot of the
companies.
times I feel like it's because you have already a team with expertise on A or B or C, and then
Yeah.
it's easier to just kind of go with that and ride with that. But yeah, so I see your point. I see your point. I think sometimes when we have these really big companies, do they have their GitHub here?
Yeah.
Project on GitHub.
If it gets traction, then yeah, cool.
Yeah, yeah, but I think this things also depends on who uses this, right? So Chronon, this is the Airbnb, has 126 starts. So
I think they're gonna use it. That's the question, though. Like, do you think they're gonna use now the open source version internally as well,
let's see.
or is it something like I've heard rumors that whatever they open source, the big tech,
yeah,
they already use something like
newer.
way newer.
Yeah.
So it's like
Yeah. In those cases, if that is true,
just a rumor, but
yeah, but if that is true, then really open source is exclusively marketing in this case.
yeah.
Right. I mean, actually, maybe not. I'm saying all these, but
No, I think
I mean, there's still some good. You can probably look at the code and get some good ideas,
Yeah.
and maybe do this. So there's still other benefits, right? But I see your point. I see your point. I don't disagree. I'm not sure I fully agree either. But I think the fact that I haven't met people that really use these frameworks
yeah.
end to end makes me think you're right. To be
Let's see.
seen.
I mean, yeah.
To be seen. There's also so many of them, which is also a bit hard
Yeah.
to keep track. But yeah, we have more items, but I think we'll leave it here for today. And next week, Bart will be back, and then I'll have something to talk to him. Because I'm also going on holidays this weekend.
Woo.
Yeah. What are you gonna do this weekend?
Not sure.
Okay.
But yeah, road trip or something. We'll see.
What about you, Alex?
Again, I don't know.
Oh my. We'll ask next week.
Yeah.
You road trip. You're gonna do a road trip.
Yeah, but where are you going? Because
I am going to Romania.
ooh,
Yes, I'm gonna take holidays on Thursday and Friday, and I'll be in Romania
nice.
till Sunday. So yeah, this is also why today's live stream was not live streamed. So it was just a video. But we're also gonna be live streaming on Tuesdays from now on. The people following us. But I think I'll leave it here for today. Thanks a lot, Lucas, for joining.
Sure.
Thanks, Alex.
Thank you.
All right, get it.
You have taste in a way that's meaningful to software people.
Hello, I'm Bill Gates.
I would recommend TypeScript. Yeah, it writes a lot of code for me, and usually it's slightly wrong.
Rust.
I'm reminded incidentally of Rust here.
Rust.
Congressman, iPhone is made by a different company, and so
You will not learn Rust while skydiving.
Well, I'm sorry, guys. I don't know what's going on.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak to you today about large neural networks. It's really an honor to be here.
Rust.
Datatopics.
Welcome to the data.
Welcome to the Datatopics podcast.
Ciao.